Ocala, where it's always probably 75.
Rob, somebody sent this to me in the mail. I don't know if it's for you or not. I like dogs and weed and maybe 3 people. I don't know. It was my
Part two.
Yes,
Part two.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he's going to try to join us today,
Random
man.
Christmas present.
Well, it's been a wild one, man. We got a lot to talk about today. We got Coach Ellis Johnson, Coach Pete Cordelli, Dave Bartoo, College Football Matrix. We'll try to check in with us if we can. Keep him in your prayers. His mother-in-law, Mary, passed away over the weekend, so he'll do his best, he said. But, hey, whatever, we're okay. We got a lot to cover today. The chaos in the portal, guys coming and going. It's so out of hand. Just about every coach now is weighing in. I'm telling you, this is what the free market is. It's going to collapse on its own weight. People are paying these kids. They're walking out on contracts. We got bowl games. We got the CFP
dogs
playoffs.
and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
It is. But I do have 2 dogs and 2 cats that live together and love one another in harmony. It's pretty cool. Hey, be cool.
Only
Take
in
a
your
picture.
house.
Yeah. Take a picture with your phone of the QR codes. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. 8 channels of live streaming. We are the tip of the spear when it comes to this. And thank all of you more than you know for watching us, okay? And sharing us and liking us. Let's get started with this alpha team. Coach Tom Cruise, Ellis Johnson in South Carolina, and Pete Cordelli, the true, the coach that these guys both are why we love sports, because we had coaches like this that never, ever let us give up on ourselves and the dreams and everything that we love about sports. And I'm going to start first with Pete today. I like to go one week, Pete, Ellis. Pete, what you're seeing from afar. We got playoffs going on. I don't care who you're a fan of. You can say what you want about Kirby Smart, but that's my kind of coach. Get after their ass, play a full 60, and, relentless. But, Coach, I've seen you coaching before, Pete. And Bobby Wade said to tell you hello. He goes, I love that guy. We were at the Christmas party Sunday night, Thursday night, and he said, man, doing radio, you kind of wrote the book. How you doing? Merry Christmas. Pete, you there?
Yeah, Rob, sorry you were breaking up, but my segment today is brought to you by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Love the one you're with, baby. Love the one you're with, because let me tell you, after midnight, there's no telling what's happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you better love the one you're with tonight. We've played 23 bowl games so far, not counting the first round. Here's my and we have 12 more to go. We have 1 today, but there's 12 more to go to complete the bowl season, not counting what we still have left with the college football playoff. I have seen spring football games being played in December. And I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm going, this is a depleted staff. This is actually what you go through in spring practice when you have transitions like we've had with all these coaches going to new jobs. And we had more transition of coaches. I believe there were 16 or 17. Was Kyle Whittingham getting hired at Michigan over the weekend? Excellent hire. Matt Campbell going to Penn State. Man, Fitzgerald going to Michigan State. I go back to watching these bowl games. I'm going, this is what spring practice is for. So what we've done is the bowl games now are taking place of the spring game, even though the portal starts Friday, January 2nd, goes for 9 days or whatever, 14 days. But we're seeing spring football teams out there because of the 38-35, but all the opt-outs for LSU, and you're going, that LSU defense with Blake Baker, I don't think they would have given up 38 points to this Houston team. But again, you just have to play with who you have. Next man up. We've heard that term forever. But what we're seeing now in bowl games are spring football games being held in December and January.
Yeah. Well, Ellis Johnson, you watched it and you made that poignant observation last week in the first playoff games. You said, I don't think any of these teams that I've seen play are going to win the national championship. And Pete's right. I'm sorry. It's not old school. It's not get off my lawn. I tell you, it's why we're seeing the mature coaches, Signetti at 64, 65, Kyle Willingham. People have got to get it out of their heads that you can get to a certain age and you just no longer have anything to offer. I'm telling you, the smartest people I've ever worked with were the people that were the oldest people in the office that taught me the little things. Sign every letter that you send with your signature in the upper left-hand corner. They'll know it's from someone, not garbage mail. Coaches, why is it that we all gravitate to the coaches and the teachers that were the toughest on us? Pete, did you know that there's a store in town, Waxler's Place, Dixie Pickers, Oxbow, that sells Brother Joel T-shirts, I was told? I mean, that right there tells you how much people respect people that were tough on them. Ellis, you watching this football right now, do you agree with what Pete said? Because I do.
Yeah, a great analogy. I mean, it's these rosters are turned over. You've got guys opting out, guys with cleanup surgeries, guys that are going to be drafted. And I know some schools have been hit hard by it in previous years, but now it's starting to get into some of the programs that have tried to do it with the high school recruiting and the buildup. And then they still have a kid who's been with them 3 years, opt out of a bowl game for some reason. Excuse me. So it's a perfect analogy, because when you used to be old school or old times, you'd come out there for spring ball. You had about 40 new faces. You really needed to find out who was going to help you next fall. You could count on a few coming in the door that were going to be good enough, but this was going to be your new football team. And that's the way a lot of them look. The caliber of football hasn't been all that bad, I don't think. It's better than watching soap operas. But I think that that's a perfect analogy on what these games look like. And, we all said it was coming, and it's starting to really seep in now. The playoff is just decimating the bowl games.
Yeah, and it has got to be fixed. I tell you, we all remember growing up, the great philosopher Jiminy Cricket. He said there's two ways to do things. Only a fool does things the foolish way, and there's the right way to do things. I don't think it's old school, get off my lawn. I think it's the right school. It's the right way. You go soft, you go easy on anyone. They're going to typically take advantage of you. Pete, look at these matchups coming up this week. And I'm looking in The Athletic, give credit where it's due. Dylan Raiola at Louisville, ? DJ Lagway at Baylor, predicting every P4 starting quarterback in 2026. I mean, that's like trying to do a 60-day weather forecast. Good luck on that one. Pete, I got Georgia winning the whole thing. I think they're playing better football than anybody in the country right now. You take a look at Ole Miss plays Georgia Thursday night. Let's get started with these matchups and what you think the key matchups on game day, Coach Cordelli, are going to be like. And Pete is frozen. Pete, you're muted. Okay, but Pete, unmute yourself. We can't hear you. But yeah, Pete, you're good. Yeah. Pete,
Okay.
let's talk about that matchup, Georgia and Ole Miss.
Here's what I did yesterday. As a matter of fact, of the 8 teams remaining, Texas Tech is scoring the most points with 4.
Yeah. Well,
42.5 averaging. Alabama, but here's the amazing thing: on defense, Ohio State is 1, giving up 8.2. Indiana 10.8 at 2. Texas Tech 10.9. Miami at 13. The lowest number of points being given up out of these 8 teams is 19 points, and that's by Ole Miss. That's what they're averaging. The lowest number of points being scored is 31 by Alabama.
The lowest number of points being scored.
Georgia's.
Yeah.
So Georgia's averaging 32 points a game. They're 7th on offense of the 8 teams left. But this Cotton Bowl game on Wednesday night, I mean, Miami, they're averaging 32 points a game on offense, but they're giving up 13. Ohio State's averaging 35, giving up 8. But the difference to me is Miami's plus.
Pete, hey Pete, can you reboot?
Miami has been beneficial. I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you reboot and come back in? But you're breaking up about every other word.
All right.
Okay, thank you. And Ellis, when you talk about what you know how Dave Bartoo always says that that we have not had a team in this century that has not been in the top 3 in either offensive scoring efficiency or defensive scoring efficiency win the national championship. It seems like this year we're having to compartmentalize it and say in the last 6 games, Georgia's in that elite status. Ohio State, Indiana, you've seen these teams play not as much as you've seen the SEC teams play. Agree or disagree?
Yep, I think that's a good point. I'm also, a week or two ago, I said that the bye was going to really be a huge advantage, and I didn't see how a college football team was capable of winning 4 in a row. And so I think it almost eliminated the first-round teams. Now I'm starting to have a little second thoughts. How much is this bye going to affect these teams that have been sitting out now for 3 weeks? Are they going to be rusty? They ought to be certainly ought to be as healthy as they've been in the whole season.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it doesn't, get their offenses out of sync or whatever. That being Georgia in particular, but Indiana, Texas Tech, Ohio State. It's if you just try to pick them, I think you're just flipping coins. But I do think if you look at the last 4 to 5 games that they've played, Georgia seems to be finding out who they are and playing more to the identity than anybody else.
Yeah.
Indiana, it's almost like there's no way they're going to be able to win every game this year, and they haven't lost one yet. Yeah. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You just don't know when. And then the thing that somebody put out the other day about the 5-star, 4 stars, 3 stars, et cetera.
Yeah.
Oh, you compare those things, and Alabama's sitting there combining 4 and 5s. They got 64 players on their roster with 4s and 5s. Indiana's got 7. And so where I thought this was going to be Indiana would eliminate Alabama, it's going to be interesting. And, of course, that layoff could affect Indiana in a little bit of a way that their offense is not in sync, too.
Yeah, well, I remember in 2019, Auburn was playing Minnesota in the Outback Bowl, and I looked at the rosters of Auburn in Minnesota, PJ Fleck. I tell you what, that outfit he had on in the bowl game the other day, he looked like a dentist in that white jacket he had on. That was pretty cool. But anyway, I looked at the roster back then. And Auburn, you worry about these teams. Do they care? Now, Gus said we're going to get butter, Butter, not better, but butter. We're going down there to get butter. Auburn had 63 players on that roster that were 4 or 5-star players. I remember that, 63. Minnesota had 4 players that were 4-star. The rest were 3s, 2s, or unranked. And they curb stomped Auburn in that bowl game. But the one player who played the full 60 and did not let up, was diving for loose balls, fighting, scratching, and clawing, was a kid out of Sugar Hill, Lanier. Y'all remember Derek Brown that played at Auburn, big defensive lineman? That was a full-grown man. And Matt Rule and the Panthers executive said the reason they chose him 7th in the draft is because in a game when it was out of control, no way Auburn was going to win, he was still playing with a full 60 mentality. I mean, it's just – this 4-star, you know what Indiana has on their roster, Pete and Ellis? 0 5-stars, 7 4-stars, and 55 3s. Of the 4 branches of the military, which one gets the least funding? Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the Marine Corps. I'm not biased, just got a lot of family members, brother-in-law in the Marine Corps. Who's the most feared fighting force on the face of the earth? It's what you do with what you got, Pete. You know that. you're muted again, Pete. We got to get you. Yeah. But, yeah, there you go, Pete.
There you go.
There we go. It's Christmas and New Year's week. Dogs and cats living together. We got
the host
Pete
has
back.
unmuted your mic. So
Go ahead.
Signetti brought a bunch of guys with him from James Madison.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't getting a bunch of 4 stars, 5 stars at James Madison, but he develops players. His coordinators, his staff, there's been continuity. So the plan has been the same from Indiana University of Pennsylvania to Elon to James Madison and now to Indiana. Nails on both sides of the football. The one position he has changed is the quarterback, obviously from a year ago to this year. And it'll be interesting to see who the quarterback is that takes over for Mendoza. But when you have a plan of development, which Ellis has had for for players ever since he started.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about
coaching. That's what we were taught. Where's he going to be in 6 months? Where's he going to be in a year? Let him grow into his body. I mean, you take a 17, 18-year-old freshman going against 23-year-old seniors. So I just, Signetti and his staff have it down how to develop players, and they have a plan. They stick to that plan, and they have a plan during a game.
Yeah.
And
well, Pete, I don't.
So for them to be, I really like what Indiana's doing.
I don't know what are you on location, or you're not in your normal studio today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because it's breaking up. But you're talking about player development, and I'm going to say to Ellis and Pete, both of y'all, I always hear people say you can't coach speed, but if somebody's a good athlete, you can get them faster if they've got the raw talent to work with. Would y'all agree with that?
The speed is one thing. It's hard to change it much. I'm a great example.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you got to recruit speed. I mean, you can. I'll say that we've always felt like you could develop quickness and increase that, because a lot of quickness is body control and vision too. Quickness on the football field starts with the eyes, but raw speed, you better recruit that.
yeah. Well, you think, okay, Pete, the quarterback position. I heard some interesting stuff about Jared Curtis, the quarterback up in Nashville Christian, who had been committed to Georgia for a long time. And I'm going to get Pete's thoughts on this. But Ellis, when you talk about developing linemen, when, Jadeveon Clowney came out of Rock Hill, South Carolina, and you sent me that story about the number of NFL players that have come out of that little town south of Charlotte, Rock Hill, South Carolina. Not too far from Gastonia, is it?
No, it's very close. Not far from my hometown, right down I-77.
So you grew up going to Charlotte when you went shopping for the big city, didn't you?
Well, we got to Charlotte. We may have got to Charlotte once every 2 or 3 years.
Well, what about where was the big city for you growing up? Columbia?
Well, if you can call it that, it was Columbia.
Well, Ellis and the boys. Now
we had a movie theater in Winsboro, and you had to take 2 sticks with you when you went to the movie. One to prop up your seat, and the other one to beat off the rats.
Well, hey, that was fun. I got one of my buddies was at a hunting club over in Colt, Arkansas last year. And he said, I noticed there was a pellet gun, an air rifle by every bed. And he said, what's this for? He goes, we got a lot of rats. He goes, we call this place the Rats Carlton. But hey, Pete, you're back with us.
Yeah.
Brother Pete Cordelli, loved by all, as is Ellis and Brendan. You're talking about developing these players. I heard someone telling me about Jared Curtis, who knows the Nashville market really well. He moved out from his parents. He bought like a Lamborghini. He bought all these things. The kid is in high school. Good God Almighty. What's it going to be like as a coach trying to bring this kid into reality when he gets to Vanderbilt? I just think about Clark Lee and what they're going to have to deal with. Kid drives up in a nicer car, because I'll bet you money Clark Lee does not drive a Lamborghini. He probably drives an F-150 from LandersFordMemphis.com. Go ahead.
Well, before the Lambo, he was driving a brand new Corvette that was red with black interior when he was committed to Georgia. Then he started flirting with Oregon, and all of a sudden, he goes back to Georgia and he gets the Lambo and
Well, and he gets all that stuff.
But I don't know, Rob. There's some concerns about his off the field stuff. He's been living in an apartment for the last 2 years, pretty close to the school. He hasn't lived at home in 2 years. Now, he did practice the last 5-6 days with Vanderbilt here in Nashville before they left for
Yeah. Well, and Pete,
for the bowl.
yeah.
And then I believe he went down to Tampa. But he's look, when Clark Lee didn't do anything to discipline Pavia for those comments about the Heisman voters, Clark Lee's not going to do anything to Jared Curtis. This is the TOE acronym, talent over everything. Clark Lee, to allow Pavia.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't do anything to Pavia for those
Pavia
comments.
Didn't figure out is, no. He said, you got to understand. Hey, Rob, the local media has never been able to meet with Pavia here in Nashville. They requested, before he went to New York, the local media, TV and print, requested to have an interview. And they said, no, his schedule's too busy. Yet the night they requested it, he was at a book signing. So they all went to the book signing.
Well, he was at a local what the night they requested the interview?
Book signing at like a Barnes and Noble. So the media, the local media shows up, and the SID says, no, he's got to go. We can't do, he doesn't do this. And it's like, what's going on here? And Vanderbilt, look, they've had 2 nice years.
Yeah. You would think that they would bend over backwards.
2 really uncommon.
Yeah. But
what
Pete,
do you?
Yeah. Now you were breaking up, but I would say, Ellis, it's very common around the country for the coaches now to blow off the local media so they can get with the national media.
Well,
I think that's disrespectful as hell.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. I did not know that was a trend. Hadn't heard that. But the thing about it, it kind of tells you that Vanderbilt doesn't trust what the kid might say. And they'd rather not have him exposed as much as that. The other thing, and I remember Jay Cutler talking about when he came from Santa Claus, Indiana, wasn't it? And
that's where he came from. Yep.
Cutler was talking about he went home with a friend one time. He said they drove out to the airport and they flew home on their private plane. So I don't know if that Lambo stand out all that much over at Vanderbilt. There's probably some good looking sorority girls got some Lambos over there too.
Yeah. Pete, Pete, I think Pete was, and I'll ask him when he comes back, but guys, it's just unimaginable that you would act like that representing the university. I mean, look, I know he was frustrated, but my God, we have gotten to a point where that crap is allowed.
Yeah. And listen, the kid probably shouldn't even been playing this year by the rules. And so he appeals and somebody puts an injunction that's going to push it past the beginning of the season. So the kid got to play this year. Now, I will say this. If I had a vote this year, I would have voted for Pavia for the Heisman. But the way he's handled himself most of the time in public and with the media, he's been an embarrassment to Vanderbilt and the NCAA. They gave him another year to play based on a rule that's been in existence for 100 years. And, that's the way he handles it. It's just classless.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to say this. I think and Pete is working on some issues to get back on with this, but Coach, I think when Justin Fields out of Kennesaw, Georgia, quarterback who signed with Georgia, did not get the starting job. He could not beat out Jake Fromm out of Houston County, Warner Robins, Georgia. They pronounce it Houston for whatever reason over there. They also call it the name from central Alabama through central Georgia. Starts over in the Black Belt in Selma in Dallas County, Lowndes. Jordan, not Jordan, but Jordan. But I think about just the Justin Fields when he didn't get that starting job and he threw a fit like a 2-year-old and they let him transfer immediately to Ohio State. That's when this crap started. And you if your kids, Ellis, you got 3, I got 4, Pete's got 2 daughters. If your kids act like fools, don't follow the rules, and embarrass themselves, your family, whatever, and you keep giving them an allowance, keep giving them money from their trust fund, whose fault is that? That's on the adults. But when Justin Fields, Pete, remember when he threw a fit about not being the starting quarterback at Georgia? Now anyone can do anything. At some point, people got to stop because the Jared Curtis stuff, I didn't know this about Diego Pavia. Suddenly, my admiration for this guy, this great story, that meter's kind of going, whoa. I mean, you talk about a spoiled brat and all the. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with the connection today, but
Man, Diego Pavia is you're messing with your Wi-Fi.
I wouldn't doubt it. He's trying to get his brothers out of jail again, I think.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, they got arrested twice after games.
This is becoming the Kardashians 2.0.
But Reese Davis.
Yeah. Well, Ellis
even said he.
What did Reese say? Pete, what did Reese Davis say about him?
He regrets his vote for Pavia for the Heisman after Pavia reacted the way he did.
Well, I can tell you, I worked with Reese for 2 years at Channel 3 in Columbus, Georgia. That's a good guy. He's a damn good guy. He's one of the best people you're ever. I mean, you talk about integrity. He's a great guy, great man. For him to say that is stunning.
No, I mean, this Vanderbilt thing, it's been local, that the local media is really upset that they haven't had more access to Pavia because the Vanderbilt people, and the question now has come up, why are you protecting him? What's going on? So now what this does,
I'll tell you, Pete.
And Ellis knows this, NFL people. There's a lot of red flags going on about Pavia. I don't think he gets a shot in the league, but it's really a bad look to end up his career at Vanderbilt the way that it has.
Well, I tell you, Ellis, if you had a kid like that, you were the head coach. I don't care if it's 1983 or 2025. Wouldn't you take him in your office and say, son, you've generated all this goodwill and you are just burning it up and throwing it overboard. And you could, and I don't know if you're going to make it in the NFL or not. I hope you do. But if you don't, what are you going to do? Just become an MTV star or something? I mean, it's just silly.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it shows that they don't have any trust in what he might say to the media. Now, you can't protect them from the national media because they go to things like bowl games or playoffs or whatever, and they get access to everybody. But, you can't blame the kid for something his brothers are doing. But after a while, it looks like they're all, got that persona. He's strolling down the hall with them on each side of him and just some different things there. But obviously, he doesn't have a lot going for him if football's gone. Yeah. And it would be probably going to end up being a sad situation if that happens to him.
Well, I reference a comment here real quick, Pete, from Dr. David Arnold. I love this guy. He's the best doctor in the Florida Panhandle. Makes house calls. Just ask anybody down there. Dr. David Arnold says about maybe that's why Pavia and Johnny Football have a lot in common. That was the canary in the coal mine when they had him on the sideline at that game. I was like, you don't do that, Pete. But you think you and Holtz would have allowed that?
Oh, hell, Lou would have. Are you kidding me?
I mean, Pete.
Lou didn't allow facial hair, but no hair coming out of the back of your helmet and no jewelry. And here's why. When we were at NC State, we're watching film of a recruit, a running back. He gets hit, his helmet pops off, and he has a ring. He has a circular earring, and a kid got his finger caught and ripped the bottom of his ear off. And Lou said, "This is a safety measure."
Oh, woo. Yeah. I mean, Ellis.
And if you don't like it, you're not. But that was Coach. He said, "Look, during the season, we're going to look sharp because if you look good, you play good." And that was his rule during the season. He said, come January or after the bowl game until next August, you do what you want. But when you're on my team, here's how you're going to look and here's how you're going to act. And he always said, you score a touchdown, act like you've been there before, hand the ball to the official.
Yeah. Well, and Ellis,
isn't about you putting on a show.
Yeah.
No, that wouldn't have happened.
And I'm going to tell you something. I'm so glad Reese Davis said what he said. I didn't know this. I've been a big Pavia fan. And now that I'm finding this stuff out, for Reese Davis to come out and say he regrets his vote for Pavia, and Reese, born and raised in Hamilton, Alabama grad, still a good person, and love him. Ellis, y'all, I'm sure you've met Reese before, but that's powerful for him to say that, and that he would say that in this day and age of where they could wipe you off, because you say something. Oh my God, you might offend someone. I didn't realize, but Nashville people keep telling me he's becoming the new Las Vegas. People come there for 3 or 4 days, buy a bunch of country clothes, go out on Broadway and just go crazy and just disappear back to their lives. All right, let's talk about, I want to ask you all about these matchups. We've got Alabama playing in the Rose Bowl against Indiana. They're a 6-point underdog, Ellis. And you've got the losingest program in the history of college football, Indiana. And you've got the winningest in terms of national championships, 18 at Alabama that they claim. They could probably claim 27. They really could. But Indiana's a 6-point favorite. And again, that roster, it's unbelievable what we've got going on. Hey, can you reset on Pavia again? Pete, what you just said about him. Ellis wanted to do it, and then I'm going to go back to you. Brendan asked if you could do that because it was chopping up. We want to get what you said about Pavia so everybody can hear this because, again, I don't hate the kid, but I don't like the behavior.
After Pavia's comments when he didn't win the Heisman, where he said, F all the voters.
Yeah.
Reese Davis, Pavia, after that reaction, because Pavia needs to understand a lot of people did vote for him. Yeah. And I was one of them, and I regret my vote.
And that's Reese Davis said that.
Yes, it's on ESPN. You can look it up on their website.
I mean, we haven't had, Ellis, a major national media figure like Reese Davis, the host of ESPN College Football Game Day, who's just a stand-up guy, to come out and say that. Have we ever, in this day and age, I had a few beers one time with Beano Cook at the Holiday Inn at I-240 in Poplar in 1994. I'll just say, I'll never forget that night. Go ahead, Ellis.
Well, I think it does make a strong statement by Reese, but I think by the time all that got out on Pavia, it wasn't a very bold thing to do. I think there were probably hundreds of them that wish they hadn't. And I would have voted for him. That's who I would have picked for the Heisman. But after he handled it the way he did, he's not a Heisman Trophy winner. He's not really a college football player.
Yeah.
He's just.
Ellis, here's the thing. This is what blows my mind. Pete, you got a brother that went to West Point. Okay. Ellis, you have 2 brothers. What are the odds? Why is this show so successful? We got the best executive producer in the world But look at the kind of character and the kind of households that y'all grew up in. I mean, let's be honest, which I always am. There's certain high character individuals. You're not getting into the academies if you don't grow up with the right values. I'm kind of, and then Jared Curtis. I mean, this is the person that knows the Nashville scene. Told me this, Pete, and I'll tell you and Ellis more. It's wow. You're bringing that, but here it is. DJ Lagway to Baylor, Dylan Riola at Louisville. This kid. That's where we know he's going to be right now. I mean, while the ink dries, if you can use that term anymore. Pete, Alabama, Indiana. Let's start getting fast pace. What scares you about Indiana? And if you're Indiana, what scares you about Alabama other than the fact that they're Alabama? And that's worth a touchdown.
If I'm Indiana, I'm not scared of Alabama at all. That offensive line, when you can't run the football, and we know we can get pressure on Ty Simpson, the guy who's missing an MIA is Ryan Williams.
Yeah, Ryan Williams, Pete.
Jimmy Bernardin, he's from Oakland High School, Oakland, Tennessee. Went to Miami. He transferred in, and he's become Jimmy and Isaiah have become the go-to guys. Cuevas, the tight end, if he's healthy, this layoff obviously has helped Alabama. But if I'm Indiana, Signetti's telling his guys the only adjustment we're making is with our chin strap. Come on, man.
Yeah. Well, Pete, Kurt Signetti.
Google me. Come on. I'm afraid I don't. If I can sustain enough of an offensive drive and series to score points, the matchup is going to be Indiana's offense against Alabama's defense. Now that Alabama's defense is healthy, and we saw them now with their blitz package and their ability to get pressure. The one thing Signetti will do.
Well, Pete,
when he starts getting all that pressure, he will go to the option game where if that end runs up the field and they're getting pressure, because you start committing 6 and 7 to pressure, Mendoza, he's not going to be throwing it overhand. He's going to be flipping it underhand. They're going to be around the corner on that speed option.
Yeah. Ellis, you're talking about the defense of Signetti. Again, not full of all-stars, but we talk about the front seven so much. If you don't have a great, I'm preaching to the choir. I'm bringing sand to the beach telling you this, but my observation is if you don't have a really good pass rush, it's hard for your secondary to be good. If you've got great pass rush, they got more time to cover their man. Talk about what Pete just said. I remember just a few years ago, Tom Allen at Indiana was one of the hot coaches in America, and then he was at Clemson this past year, and it's just the different things have changed, but I don't know what it is about coaches from Pittsburgh, the Warehouse District, Pennsylvania. They're just tough. West Virginia, same thing. Just it's the culture they grow up in. Maybe we ought to all hire a football coach from West Virginia or Pennsylvania. Maybe that's what we need.
Mine grew up in West Virginia.
See, there you go. They're tough ass people.
You maybe start thinking. I started having flashbacks to Coach Ross.
Bobby Ross.
But I look at it in that running game of Alabama. I just keep saying there's no way you can play through the national championship playoffs when you rush for under 50 yards. But then I look at the difference in the talent on these rosters, and I see mismatches all out in the perimeter, and Ty Simpson playing with no running game against one of the best defenses in the nation, and he never turned it over. So I don't know. It's a hard one to pick. Be honest with you, Indiana's been an overall better football team this year, but I think Alabama's been through a much tougher track, and I think they've got some matchup things that Indiana better be aware of.
Yeah.
Once you get beat on speed, it's hard to make it up.
Well, it's not like they don't have the running back talent.
It's not the backfield.
Right. I feel like eventually they could bust out. It's not like it's lack of talent, right?
Well, I think it's sometimes, you get to this point in the season and your running game hasn't been there for you at all, except maybe 2 games it was reasonable. The talent at running back is not that bad. They've been banged up and in and out of the lineup. They apparently don't trust it, and they're working more on the passing game. Whatever you practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, that's what you're going to be good at on Saturday. That's a real brilliant statement. But I mean, that's just, I've watched teams, and all of a sudden they put in a couple of different wrinkles to run the football, and they didn't really put in time in it during the course of the week. They just made sure everybody assignment-wise was on the same page. But they ran it against a scout team 5 times, and they got the execution down, and they bring it to the stadium, and they get their nose mashed because they're not a running football team. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know the guy that runs the offense that well, but it doesn't look like to me that he's got running game in his DNA.
Yeah. Well, Jam Miller, think about Alabama, Pete. Who would have taken this bet if you went to the window in Las Vegas and, Don Rickles is out there on the floor running the casino, and you said, I want to put a bet in that Alabama is going to be in the CFP playoffs in the quarterfinals in the Rose Bowl when they only have one game where they have a 100-yard plus rusher the entire season? Who would take that bet? Don Rickles?
No one. But the other thing is the teams they've played against have given them opportunities, like Oklahoma, the quarterback from Oklahoma throwing the pick 6.
John Materia.
I mean, it's kind of like in golf.
Yeah. Well,
when a guy goes out with a big lead and then on Sunday starts coming back to the pack. And it's like these teams just start coming back to Alabama's level and giving them opportunities. And look, that deal Oklahoma was wearing, the shirt hard to kill, that's Alabama. That's not Oklahoma. Oklahoma, they killed them. They killed themselves. The hard to kill team is Alabama because it's in their
it's in their DNA
that they believe they can win the close game.
Yeah, I know we've lost so much of what you said today. So much great stuff, but you said what's hard to kill about Alabama is that DNA of winning. And
exactly,
I read a thing about Sharon Moore at Michigan. That was a lazy hire, and it was a stupid hire because he'd been there when all the shenanigans with Inspector Clouseau and the guys with mustaches and glasses and trench coats and Sherlock Holmes hats were getting signals on the sidelines, and they just put him in there. And maybe he knew so much about what was going on at Michigan, that's why they did it. But it's a lazy, easy pick if you're not careful because it's Alabama. But who doesn't get pulled in by that? But Ellis, you've coached there twice. It's in the DNA at Alabama. And when you talk about a culture, it's like, well, everybody else does it. Yeah, everybody else that's ever been here won. And it just you just expect, like, hey, we have to be up. If they get up at 5, we got to be up at 4:30.
When kids came into the program, there were 2 types. There were some that wanted to live up to what Alabama had accomplished over the years, and there were some that wanted to live off of it. Because, hey, you signed me here at Alabama, and now you're telling me I'm not a very good linebacker? And they'd fight that development and so forth. So that was the challenge in coaching those guys. The second time I came back, they'd been through the NCAA thing and had lost some scholarships. And they thought they were an Alabama football team, but the kids were not elite Alabama talent. And, boy, we had a rough time. We built it back up and got it going. But that's a hard job when you're coaching at a place where you've been recruited and signed at one of the top places in America, and you're really not playing at that level. And now you got to hang your shingle out and see if you can psychologically get them to understand you ain't who you think you are, and you're going to have to play with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder and a blue-collar mentality, because that's who we are, and we're not going to win without that.
So that's kind of like the guys born on third base and thought they hit a triple. Let me say this. Welcome aboard, Dave Bartoo. Our prayers for your mother-in-law, Dave. Mary. And I know you've been going through a lot, but we love you. Merry Christmas, and thanks for sharing some time with us, man. Let her rip.
Yeah, no, I was like, I forgot what day it was. I'm feeding all the critters and coming in from outside. And I'm like, and then I pick up my phone and I see Buddy Martin's like, hey, Bartoo's going to be on the show. Well, I'm, damn it, I better get on this show. Buddy's telling me to get on the show.
Well, hey, look, I love it. He's out there. He's got the raincoat on. You become quite a very popular, as are Ellis and Brendan and Pete. Let's talk about these games. I love what you say. I can
Yeah,
tell the stories just by the numbers. I don't even have to watch the games, and you actually can do it. Um,
yeah,
we hadn't gotten yet to Oregon, and
no,
I I just it's funny how close Oregon's getting. You're an Oregon guy, Matt Dean, because his son Tyler's on that staff. They got to play Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl. What jumps out about that matchup, or any of these other matchups that's got you up at night?
nothing's got me. Well, there's a lot of other things that have had me up at night the last 3 weeks, buddy. But
Yeah,
one of them. But it is. I am excited about Texas Tech from the standpoint of this is a top three on paper, a top three defense. And I know a lot of folks listen and be blah, 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 schedule, this, that, and the other. And, strength of schedule doesn't mean anything. If you take the strength of schedule of all the playoff games, it's about 50-50. So it's a non-factor for me. So I want to see if Texas Tech really has it. And I know a lot of people don't really believe that. And the other part of me goes, well, Oregon is vastly out-recruited Texas Tech. And folks, don't get caught up in the thought that Texas Tech just spent X millions of dollars on players in 1 year. It's freaking Texas Tech. It's still Lubbock, and recruiting takes 4 years of getting guys in and out and trying to get any kind of continuity. And I credit a lot of it to the offense and defensive coordinator that they brought in the last year. So part of me wants to go with the talent, but the other part of me wants to go with the best unit on the field, and I'm really, really torn with it. Talent wins football games. And so being a Duck or not, I got to lean that way, but I just have no surprises if this is a low-scoring Texas Tech wins it in a field goal kind of football game.
Wow. It's across the country. It's been a while since Oregon. They got that win, the 20th against James Madison. You were at that game.
Yeah.
Dan Lanning, he's smart. He's like Kirby and Nick Saban. They find something, even in a 50-something point scoring, John, something to coach on. I always loved that. As a kid, I'll never forget hearing Tom Osborne in the locker room after a 41-7 victory over Auburn. He was going, well, we were concerned when the defense gave up the points there late in the game and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you just won 41-7. But I love that. That's Dan Lanning. He's from the Midwest, by the way.
He's from the Midwest, by the way. I'm not sure if it's regional. I think it's wired into people, especially coaching at the highest level, whether it's college or pros. It's a different genetic makeup. It really is. I could never do it. There's just absolutely no way I could do it. So I think they're just the way they're raised, the way they're wired, everything. But Dan does try to find ways to keep his guys motivated and focused. And I think that's a big deal when you're an athletic director trying to hire somebody with the turnstile of the portal right now. This is college football, unfortunately, is becoming very nameless, very faceless, very unfollowable. Because it's a turnstile of mercenaries looking to get paid, not to improve, just simply get out there and get paid first and play second. So it's very difficult for the fans. It's extremely difficult for the coaches. And I think you got to hire somebody that is wired to psychologically try to motivate today's player. And I think Nick was very, very good at it. I think Kirby is very good at it. And I think Dan has learned that part either through his life and or with Kirby. If you read between the lines, it's a constant form of motivation for the next play, for the next game, for the next practice. And I think a lot of people can learn from that in terms of coaching today's player.
Ellis?
Yeah, that's a great point. Being able to motivate each week. I think fans, look, say who's got the, pregame speech or what do you say to them in the locker room after the game or halftime motivation, all that. It's a day-by-day thing, to get them to focus, even in meetings. They come in with a little bit of lackadaisical attitude in a meeting and miss a key point. Then you have it blow up on you in the third quarter. So, yeah, it's a day-to-day thing, man. Dave, we were talking a little earlier, though, this chart that had the 5-star, 4-star, all the breakdown for each team. And that Texas Tech, Oregon's the second biggest difference. If you just count 5s and 4s,
Yep.
37 more on Oregon's team than there is on Texas Tech. Of course, can't but 11 going to be on the field at the same time. But I don't know. That's going to be a really interesting one. I think that Oregon's got the best chance out of the teams that came out of the first round, best chance to win this week and advance. I think the other ones that had the bye, I think they're in a little bit better shape. But it's a hard one to pick.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, the narrative of recruiting win college football games, I started that back in 2008 with my original research into recruiting. All of these, these blue chip narratives, all this stuff, that's where it came from, is that work back then. And recruiting it's evolved, but it still is winning nearly 70% of all college football games, is the better overall recruiter, even in the mess we have today. So that's why I'm just like, I got to go talent, especially at this level. You look at the last 26 national champions, 24 of them over the previous 4 years, not last year, the previous 4 years are top 10 recruiters in the country. Okay. If you don't have top 10 talent, you better have a first round, first pick quarterback, like Clemson did with Deshaun Watson. So, outside of that, I've always gone to the talent, even in this topsy-turvy world. And that's why I still think Oregon is going to win this football game. And I 100% agree with you, Ellis, that they have the best shot of getting that first round win of the 4 this coming weekend.
Coach Neshamny.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, thoughts and prayers to you and your family, man.
Thank you, boss.
Pete,
I know it's been a rough go, but Kirby and Dan, in Nick's last year of coaching at Alabama, his biggest thing was, I can't get players to let go of the bad play. I can't let guys just go next play, next play, next play. We've heard some video stuff going on with Kirby that some folks in Athens have kind of it's about the next play, the next play, the next play. And like Ellis said, it's a daily grind to get these guys' minds right, because they come in there, they don't know how to sustain focus 5 days in a row to get ready for Saturday. They just don't. It's just not there.
Yeah. Well,
you just think, well, tell me what I'm going to do and I'll go out and play. But Nick was really upset his last year at Alabama that not enough players could let go of the bad play because, oh my gosh, I might not get the money I want when I transfer. I'm looking bad. Rather than I let the team down, it was all about I, me. And that drove
well, you think
Nick crazy, drives Kirby, it drives a player does. We got issues.
Yep, I totally agree on that one. Rob?
Yeah, no, I mean, Dave, this is so right about the talent. I mean, we sit there and we argue. It's like ingredients. Talk to a great chef. It all starts with the ingredients. But if you go buy the best groceries at Fresh Market, best fresh halibut, free-range chicken, aged Angus beef, and you throw it on the counter and you let it sit there, you might as well have Uncle Charlie from My Three Sons cooking for you. Or you can get Wolfgang Puck or Gordon Ramsay or Chef Roger Watson, my friend, up in Indianapolis, the greatest chef in the world. Dave, when you look at these matchups too, Georgia, Ole Miss, people say it's hard to beat a team twice in the same year. If you look statistically, it's not. If you beat them the first time, you know you can beat them. It should be easier the second time. The stats bear that out to be true.
Oh yeah, no, that's one of those myths. Going for two, middle eight, all that crap. They're hard to beat the second time. Maybe at more of the professional level, but not when you're talking about college sports. Especially like you just kind of hinted out the psychological level of it. But talent wise, talent rises to the top, and I think the most talented recruiter, or the most talented roster is favored in every single one of these games. So that first quarter, though, for the underdogs, be mindful of anybody that can get back-to-back scoring drives. That's going to be your first big thing right there. Can a Texas Tech, can an Ole Miss, can anybody in that first quarter, maybe even the first 20 minutes of the game, can they get back-to-back unanswered points? Keep your eye out for that, because that's going to tell you maybe there's an upset brewing early on, and the game has a chance of being close.
Yeah. And I see the person wasn't hard for Ole Miss to beat Tulane twice. Almost identical score, 45-10, 41-10. And Ellis, along the line of what he said, the reference point was the SEC championship game. The team that plays in the regular season and gets the win usually gets it in Atlanta second time around. But it wasn't that case this year with Alabama and Georgia. Ellis, jump back in here. Great stuff here on this Monday morning, December 29th, 2025, the last Monday of this calendar year. Next Monday, it'll be a new year. Shocking revelation, Ellis.
Yeah, Dave, we were talking about Alabama game before you got on. So that's the one. And that's another one where the talent level is just absolutely distorted by these recruiting stars.
Yeah.
Alabama got 64 5s and 4s, and Indiana has 7. 57 difference, but they're supposedly a touchdown favorite, and we went round and around and around. So I wouldn't mind hearing your opinion on that game, because it's a hard one to pick.
It's impossible. Stop asking me these questions about these teams. I mean, it really is, because from a talent standpoint, on paper, you immediately gravitate to Alabama, but I'm sorry. Not sorry. I mean, we're watching in Cignetti the single greatest 2-year run of my lifetime for college football. This is nuts. It's not real. I mean, look, in Indiana, they have changed their recruiting, right? They recruit about as good as Kentucky. That's who Alabama's playing. That's the kind of coaching that Cignetti is doing. I think hidden in a lot of this, though, is the continuity. I think that's going to be a big word going forward. It's something that Dan Lanning has kind of gravitated to here locally as well. But if you look at Indiana, you have coaching continuity. You've got the same head coach. You got the same offensive coordinator. You got the same defensive coordinator. You got the same special teams. You have the same coaching staff for the last 4 years, basically. And a lot of these kids have been there all 4 years. This game to me is a manifestation about continuity, because Alabama doesn't have it. They lost Nick. They brought in Kalen. They brought in 40, 50 new kids. It's talent versus continuity, because Kalen and Cignetti are both absolutely top 5 outstanding head coaches in the sport, in my opinion. But I think the difference is that continuity that Indiana has right now, and that's closed the gap. It'll be interesting going forward when that continuity goes away, maybe a little bit, but they re-signed their OC, they re-signed their DC. You could not get me to bet money on this game at all.
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy. And we hadn't even talked about, Dave, Miami and Ohio State. And you made a great point, really resonated with my thick head about strength of schedule. It doesn't matter. All you got to do is look at that roster of Ohio State, and they could parachute in from Uranus, and you'd know they are a great team.
Exactly. Does it make Georgia any worse if they play all Sun Belt teams? No, it doesn't. Right? Well, it's actually better, in my opinion, because you're healthier. The easier the schedule with the better team, the healthier you are come this time of year, and the chances you've had to get more depth being played. It's just greedy fans that want the better games all the time. It's not about the eye test or anything like that. So it'll be a fascinating study. But yeah, Ohio State and Miami head coach favors Day. Offensive coordinator, I think that's kind of a mix. Defensive, Matty Patricia's had just a under the radar fantastic year in his first year in college football. Actually, quite unbelievable. So I agree with the line in that Ohio State's gonna win this football game.
Dave, Pete.
I'd like Miami to pull the upset. I just think that they're more physical. Ruben Bain, Messador, the Miami defense is starting to play like the Miami defense of old. Saying doesn't impress me right now with pressure. When you have the two best receivers that he has in Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, and you can't get them the ball. But the X factor to me is Carson Beck. Is Carson Beck going to step up and get it done? Or is Carson Beck going to be like the deer in headlights when Ohio State and Patricia start changing up coverages and making them do different things? This one's going to be a rock fight. I don't see a lot of points in this game. And Miami.
Well, and we're going a couple.
This is their look. They got screwed the last time they put in the end zone, and those Miami people, they haven't forgotten that stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what? Different time, different scheme, and all that. But you know what? It's being used as a chip. We talked about Lanning using different things to motivate. Mario does the same thing because that's from Nick. They all learned that from Nick. You find a little piece to motivate your team. But I like Miami because I just think that.
Well, I mean, and Pete,
defense will get pressure on.
So, Dave, you think about that in this extra innings, we're going a few extra minutes, powered by hempforpros.com, hempforpros.com, energy gummies, chill, lights out, also the pain topicals and the roll-on. I'm telling you, Dave, at Heal this, like you said, it stops the pain so your body can heal. And I've been using it. Hempforpros.com, energy gummies, providing these few extra minutes of insight from three of the smartest people on earth with the best executive producer on earth, Brendan Martin. Dave, when we think about what he just said, finding things, Christopher Columbus High School in Miami graduate, Mario Cristobal. A lot of people have gone to school there. So who right now, Georgia, are they in the top 3 scoring efficiency right now for the whole season, offense or defense? Not even close.
No. Nobody in the SEC was. You had Oklahoma that was top 10 scoring efficiency defense, and Vanderbilt top 10 scoring efficiency offense. There was nothing else in the top 5. There was nothing. I mean, this is not a good conference. It has a lot of talent, but the talent hasn't been playing together. This goes back to the continuity. There's still going to be a ton of guys drafted in the NFL, but these guys aren't playing together. They're not learning to play as a team. You can see it on the field. You can see it in the numbers. They're still 11-1. Yeah, they're still 12-1 or whatever the record is. But these SEC teams today would get their ass kicked by SEC teams from just a few years ago, because the continuity's there. The system has been there. These guys are now all just moving around, and the records maybe aren't changing that much, but the quality of play, in my opinion, is completely changed, and it is very, very evident that it is down in the SEC. So Georgia, Ole Miss, one of those teams has to win, but neither one of those, in my opinion, they can still win the national title, but are they a national championship level offense or defense? No, I don't believe they are.
Well, before
Dave, and to go along with the continuity deal, Ryan Day now calling plays. That breaks up the offensive continuity of Ohio State. That's something I forgot to say. Earlier in the show, before you came on, I said Signetti's had these guys with him from Elon to James Madison. And I'm
he froze
a big
up.
believer in continuity as well.
Yeah.
But Ryan did this game.
It could. Rob?
Well, Yeah, Ellis, jump back in. Sorry about that.
The one factor I'm waiting to see, Miami looked like the only team in America that had a legit running game last game, but Texas A&M's got a problem stopping the run. Their run stats would be even worse, but if they take those sacks off of it. But if Miami can run the football successfully against that front, Ohio State, they'll have a chance to beat them. If they can't, they're going to get beat double digits.
Yeah. Dave, last thing. What he just said, 218 yards running against A&M. And they gave up over 200 yards rushing now on 5 occasions. That last one bounced them out in the playoffs. So before you go, and let me say something, folks, find all of our sponsors, www.sidelines.live. Rumble Boxing, How You Fight's How You Live, Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic Square, Collierville, Tennessee, hempforpros.com, Landers Ford, we'll talk about in just a moment. Dave, parting words for people, because you won't be back till next Monday, maybe later in the week, but you got a lot you're working on. I know you got a lot to deal with, but parting words about these 4 playoff games that are coming up, anything people can look for. Y'all both have laid it out so well. Ellis talked about Alabama. There's 2 kinds of players they would get. Players that wanted to live up to the expectations at Alabama, and then the players that wanted to live off of the expectations of just, I'm at Alabama. You got to treat me a certain way.
Yeah, I think for me it's the David and Goliath, right? You have Georgia, you have Oregon, you have Alabama, you got Ohio State. You got 4 of the top 5 recruiters in college football. Okay. Talent wins football games. Do they all win this weekend, or does teams like a Texas Tech, Indiana, Ole Miss, a lot less talent, get the W? So to me, that's kind of the story of the weekend for me is, can the little guy keep hope alive in the playoffs this coming round of games?
Yeah, and I think that's there's going to be so much to watch. Look, great show today, everybody. And I'm going to tell you what, I'll let y'all go. But I'm going to be glued to these TV sets. I'm going to the Liberty Bowl Friday. Don't care who's playing. It's college football. But anyway, love it. I've got a lot to cover. So, hey, man, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Check out all of our sponsors. Landers Ford, they're open every day except Sundays, man. Don't forget it. Everybody watching, and EP, Brendan Martin, thank you. Have a great day. Stay tuned to this channel. A lot of football to come.